Yo, peace was good. Welcome to the start of my CD collection. This is part 156. Let's get started. These are CDs I copped, like around like November, December area. Let's get started, alright? So first album I want to show you guys is it's from 2001. This is like the '02 reissue. We're gonna go to Mount Vernon. Money under Mount Vernon, home of Pete Rock, CL Smooth, home of Heavy D, Diddy's bitch ass, and among other people. And the album I want to talk about is Pete Rock with his first instrumental album titled Petestrumentals. This was released in 2001. This is the 2002 reissue. The '01 version only has 14 songs. This one has 16. There's some songs on the '02 version that's not on the reissue, so had to get that. Had to get my hands on that. So I'm all about like bonus tracks and exclusive songs and shit like that. But basically, this is an instrumental album. Basically, these are beats that he recorded in the '90s up until 2001. I know Wikipedia says it was recorded between 1990 and 2001. I find that to be kind of inaccurate because based on the production style, it gives me like Main Ingredient, Soul Survivor type of vibes. That's what I got, like vibe, like beat wise. It kind of remind me of those two albums, particularly the Main Ingredient and Soul Survivor, which I think they're fucking dope. Those are my favorite albums from Pete Rock as far as like the '90s. Main Ingredient with Pete Rock and CL Smooth, that's my favorite album. And the Soul Survivor album is so underrated, so slept on. I rarely hear people talk about that album, but I digress on that. But yeah, dope album right here. You got joints like A Little Soul, Play This Only at Night, Something Funky, For the People, To My Advantage featuring Nature, which is not featured on the original version. Smooth Sailing Goes Hard, Back on the Block featuring CL Smooth, The Boss Get Involved, Nothing Lesser featuring the UN, who's Rock Marcy's early growth in the late '90s to mid 2000s. They have a dope album called UN You Out. Recipes, I believe it was Dino Brave that passed away, or Mike Raw. It's one of the two. I forgot who passed away like a couple years back. But yeah, Walk On By, Take the D Train, Mindframe with Freddie Fox, which was like a big song in the underground circle back then. Cake featuring the UN. This is a fucking dope album right here. So glad I got this. I've been wanting this since high school, and it's like one of those albums I never saw in the wild. If you guys are my age, I'm 39, so if you guys having my age or whatever, maybe you've seen it in the wild in the United States. The reason I bring this up because this was released on the BBE Records, which is like based out of the UK. So a lot of times a lot of that stuff is like considered to be imports. So if you do see it in the stores, like you would see like a limited quantity of these kind of albums, and you would have to pay import prices, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, dope album. Glad I own it. You know what I'm saying? If you was to get this album, I would recommend you guys get the 2002 reissue because of the extra tracks. Again, production wise, definitely reminiscent of the Main Ingredient, Soul Survivor. If you like that style of production from Pete Rock, then this is the album to check out. So yeah, Petestrumentals by Pete Rock, released in 2001. Alright. Next up, from Money Under Mount Vernon, we'll go to Northern California, specifically Sacramento or Sacktown. And I want to give a big shout out to my brother Checkmate out of Sacramento. He's on Instagram. Shout out to him. He blessed me with these next couple of albums that I'm gonna show. I've been trying to get these albums since high school because at the time I was like really big into horrorcore, and a lot of these albums were not easily accessible. And the artist I want to talk about is X-Rated with the Unforgiven album. This was released in 1998 or 99 rather. So glad I got my hands on this album. This album came out like 3 years after, 3 or 4 years after. No, I want to say 3 years because Exorcist came out I think in '96. This came out in 1999. Compared to Exorcist, The vocals sound a lot cleaner, a lot more crisp, that kind of thing. The rumor had it was a security guard, smuggled in music equipment so he could record and that kind of thing. So I thought that was actually pretty cool. That's a dope story, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I got some dope joints right here, man. What's cool, it says that all the recordings contained on this CDs were made between December 1st, 1998 and finished on February 15, 1999. So I thought it was pretty cool. So again, compared to the Exorcist album, which was phoned in, this was actually like, you could sound like it was recorded recorded on, a professional studio. But yeah, really dope, man. You got songs like Misanthropy, Spitting Venom, Mortal Kombat, Macrofama, Dead on Arrival Part 1, that shit goes hard, Land of the Lost, Mama's Pride and Joy, Whatever It Took. I mean, very fucking dope album. So glad I got my hands on this. I got it for a pretty good price, from Checkmate. Shout out to him, because this album usually goes for like, 40 and up. So, but I got it for a steal. I'll just put it at that. But yeah, good album right here. So glad I got my hands on this. And the follow-up album, I'm glad I got my hands on this as well. It is Nefarious with Speak of the Devil, the unreleased verses, released in 2000. So this is still X-rated, but he went by the name Nefarious. The reason why was because back in the day, there's a law called the Son of Sam law, and basically what that entailed was, basically if you're a criminal and you committed a crime, you can't make money off the crime that you committed while you're in jail. It's just that kind of thing. So that's where that came from. But the thing with that is the simple fact that a lot of people argue that was like against that's unconstitutional. It goes against the First Amendment, which is the freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and that kind of thing. So basically, he just did that, just kind of like, incognito, but everybody knew it was X-rated. But like I said, this is like a follow-up album from the Unforgiven album. These are basically like leftover tracks from the Unforgiven album. But yeah, fucking dope, man. I mean, you got the whole Catch You, which is actually featured on the EBK4 album, which Black Market was kind of known for doing that in the late 90s, like getting songs from like different albums that like unreleased or like unfinished verses, and it would just put different people on those finished verses to make it into a finished song, and it'll put it on different albums and things like that. So like I said, Catch You was on the EBK4 by Brother and Tongue. Fatal Blow, Trial by Fury goes hard, Jealous, Hellraiser, The Evil That Men Do, Decapitation, Using Nina, Incarcerated. Dope album. Love this album. Fucking love it. Love the dark production on here. That underground dark West Coast hip hop, that mob music. Fucking love this shit. Nefarious, Speak of the Devil, done with these verses. Another one I got from Checkmate on Instagram, so shout out to him. Alright. Next up, this one I actually got on eBay, and I got it for a pretty good price. It's pretty much like the follow-up album from Nefarious. Then he got back with X-rated, went back with The Vengeance Minds. This came out in 2000. This also came out in 2000, by the way, too. In the album, like on the internet, it says 2001. This one says 2000. I'm gonna go with 2000. This album right here was cool. Not my favorite out of the ones I showed. I think this is kind of like the weakest one, but I'm glad I have it. But the songs I do like, I like Who They Want to Kill, Most Wanted, Saka Indo goes hard, The Terrorist, Post-War Syndrome, Lord Have Mercy. I mean, it got some cool tracks on here, but compared to these, I think this is the weakest one. It's not as good as those ones I showed, but that's my personal opinion. But I'm just glad I own it. I got it for a pretty good price on eBay. So, but yeah, X-rated with The Vengeance Minds, released in 2000, and this was basically like his last album that he dropped for Black Market. This is basically like his exit album, and to fulfill his contract. So finally got my hands on this. So I'm glad. Like I said, his exit album last time he dropped, and then he ended up went independent, and he dropped his record label. I think it was called Madman Records. So I had to throw it out there. And the last one from my boy Ian or Checkmate out of Sacramento. He threw this in that came with these albums that I showed before. He popped this in as a freebie basically. And this is basically like the X-ology, the best of X-rated. So basically these are songs like, from the first album, Psychoactive, chronicling from 92 up until 2001. So songs from the first couple albums, including Psychoactive, Exorcist, the Unforgiven Vol.1, the Nefarious album, and The Vengeance Is Mine. So basically songs from those albums that I mentioned before. So basically I have all X-Rated's Black Market releases, and this is also a Black Market release as well. So I was out to throw it out there. So yeah, X-ology by X-Rated, released in 2001. Alright, so that's pretty much it, guys. Now next up, from Sacramento, we're going to go to MacArthur Airport in Long Island. We're going to go to Roosevelt, Long Island, home of Public Enemy, home of Eddie Murphy, the late great Charlie Murphy, among other people. We're going to go with Son of Bazerk. This was released in 1991. He's known for his affiliation with Public Enemy. He was under that whole tree, that Public Enemy tree, that kind of thing. Very, very dope album. Very original. Kind of a unique artist, if you will, to say the least. Basically, he was on his James Brown-ish. And this album is actually from a James Brown album. I forgot the name of it. But basically, like, he even tried to raps like James Brown, if that makes sense. But known for the singles, I believe was Change the Style. And what was the other song? This band gets swivel on the wheels. Standout tracks for me, I'm gonna have to go with the band gets swivel on the wheels, Part 1, Change the Style, One for the Rebel, What Could Be Better, Bitch, which was actually featured on the Juice soundtrack. Bang Get Down, that's my favorite joint of the album. Love the beat for that. Trapped Inside the Rage of Joel, Sex, More Sex, Lifestyles of the Blacks and the Brick. I mean, this is a dope album right here, like I said before. Production wise, it reminds me a little bit of a mixture of like America's Most Wanted and like Apocalypse 91. If you like those albums production wise, you'll definitely enjoy this. But not by any means, this album is not anything like that. I'm just saying production wise. And like I said, he has a very unique style of rapping. Because like I said, he's kind of average when you think about it. He's not the best. But like there's some songs like he tries to harmonize like James Brown, or he raps like James Brown. So I thought it was kind of interesting. And this was actually released under, I think it was like Soul Records, which was the Bomb Squad's record label and that kind of thing. But I'm glad I own it because I thought I had it, but I didn't have it. Got it for like $5, so finally got my hands on it. So yes, sir. Son of Bazerk, released in 1991. Like I said, production-wise, it reminds me of America's Most Wanted and Apocalypse 91. So that's the vibes I got from this album, right? All right, next up, from Roosevelt, we're going to go to 7 Mile, Detroit. Been trying to get this out for a while. I'm so glad I got my hands on it. And it is Esham with his 1999 album, Male Dominance, released in 1999. I've been trying to get this out for a while. I've always liked this album cover. I don't know why. I've always liked something about it. I liked it. I'm going to keep it a buck. I did not like this album. This album was kind of all over the place production-wise. Very experimental. It got to the point like he even harmonizes on a couple of the songs. Like he's actually singing, like trying to sing and trying to harmonize. And it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like you're not known for that, man. It's like I get, you're trying to change your ways and things like that, change your style. But yeah, just this album wasn't it, man, for me, man. But the songs I do like is We Coming For You, Slow Motion, Get the Fuck Out of My Face, and No More Mr. Nice Guy. Those like the only songs I like from it. Everything else I just could have done without personally. But yeah, Male Dominance by Esham, released in 1999. I got this for like $10, so great still. Alright. From Detroit, we're gonna go to Virginia. And we're gonna go for Timberland Magoo with their second album, The Incidental Proposal, Indecent Proposal, released in 2001. I remember this album being really popular back then in 2001, because, at that time, Aaliyah, she passed away. She dropped her album, the self-titled album, Aaliyah, which is a fucking 5-man classic. This came out around the same time, a little. I think before, like after that album, or it was I don't remember. It's been a while, but I remember this coming out in 2001. I was in high school at that time. I was a freshman in high school, and I remember dropping All Y'all, which is the 2 singles. Those songs having heavy rotation on like video music circuits and things like BET, MTV, Rap City and 106 and Park and that kind of thing. Standout tracks for me, I'm about to go with a Drop featuring Fat Man Scoop, All Y'all featuring Tweet. Yo, Tweet's first album, Southern Hummingbird, fire. Dope album right there. Indian Carpet, that goes hard. Love Me, Baby Bubba, Considerate Brother featuring Ludacris, that shit goes hard. Beat Club and I Am Music. Those are like the standout tracks. I do have their first time with Welcome to the World. I do like that a little bit better than this. But again, production wise, if you guys like Missy's So Addictive album from that era, a little bit of Aaliyah's album, production wise kind of reminiscent of this. This sounds reminiscent of those beats from that. But obviously they have like their own style production wise. But if you guys like those albums, I think you guys will enjoy this album. But yeah, Timberland Magoo, Indecent Proposal, released 2001. Rest in peace to Magoo. He died, I think 2023 or 2024. I don't remember, but he passed away. All right, from Virginia, we're gonna go to the Big Easy, NOLA, aka New Orleans. We're gonna go to Uptown, and we're gonna go with my man BG with Checkmate. This is released in 2000. I've been trying to get this out for years, but over time, it has gone up in price. A lot of Cash Money catalog, back catalog has gone up in price. I could have gotten this years ago, but I just never got around to it. Back when the album was like, $15, $16 and that kind of thing. And I've seen it going up for like, as much as like $50 and $60 and that kind of thing. So this album came out 1 year after the Chopper City in the Ghetto, which a lot of people deem to be BG's best album. I'm not mad at that. It's one of my favorite albums, but I've mentioned before my favorite albums from BG is the Chopper City from 96, the It's All On You Volume 1 and Volume 2 from 97. Those 3 albums, those are my favorite. Those are my top 3 BG albums. But yeah, Get It With Checkmate came out in 2000. I remember the song I Know. Was it? Yeah, I Know, featuring Lil Wayne. That was very, very big. That was like all over like video music circuits like BET, Rap City, and like 106 and Park. They used to play that shit heavy. But yeah, got some dope joints right here. And we got To My People, Gunslinger, You Know How We Do, What's That Smell, This Nigga Die, Change the World, that shit goes hard. Hennessy and Ecstasy, that shit goes hard. Press 1, Jungle, I Know I mentioned before, Bounce With Me, Get In Line, Run With My Chopper, Problems, Aha, and He's To Be Your Man. And the singles of this album is I Know, Hennessy and Ecstasy, and Bounce With Me. Those are the singles of the album. This was the last album that he dropped under Cash Money Records. And although I feel like this is a good album, out of the Cash Money releases, I would say this is slightly the weakest one, in my opinion, as far as production. The production was cool, but it kind of went downhill, in my opinion, towards like the middle of the album, towards the end. But it's not a bad album. It's actually pretty good. But again, compared to the albums I mentioned, I think production-wise it's kind of the weakest, but it's still a dope album. But yeah, if you guys like BG, like his early stuff, I would highly recommend you guys check this album out. But yeah, BG with Checkmate, released in 2000. Alright. So from NOLA, we're going to go to JFK, LaGuardia Airport in Queens. We're going to head out to Queensbridge. And we're going to be chilling with my man Marl with the Re-Entry album from 2001. Glad I got my hands on this album. This is basically like the same thing with the BBE releases with Welcome to Detroit with Jay Dilla, Petestrumentals with Pete Rock, the Lost Change album with will.i.am. This is, I believe, it was like the fourth installment of the album. Yeah, I'm glad I got my hands on this album. Marl gets to know, the producer, the brain of the Juice Crew, basically that kind of thing. Super producer, in my personal opinion, very slept on. I don't feel like a lot of people talk about him as much as they should, but pretty cool. I mean, it has like a nice slip right here. All right, and that's how the album looks like by itself. And just like the Petestrumentals, kind of like let me take this out. It's basically like a early digipack. All right, pretty cool. All right. All right. So now let's get into the standout tracks for me. I'm gonna have to go with Three's Company, Spaz, Who's Sicker, Lost Beat, Easy Type Shit, What's Ruling Means, What You Hold Down. That shit goes hard. Love that shit. And New York. I'm gonna be real with you. I was a little disappointed with this album, just because I was kind of expecting like production from like kind of in the same vein, because like if you guys know about Marl, him and Pete Rock had they were part of Future Flavors on Hot 97, and they would play like their beats from the SP1200, and they would play bangers, and then when you got this album, it was kind of lukewarm. It's kind of like I was kind of underwhelmed in the sense listening to this album. It's cool, but it's not like memorable. You know what I mean? Petestrumentals' albums, Welcome to Detroit, is a lot better, and this will blow this album out the water. And what's crazy is that he didn't do all the beats. Like he had, I think he had Jay Force did a beat on here. Who was like his understudy, the one that did the beat for LA. Jay Force actually did that beat, not Marl, so I throw it out there. He had 88 Keys, and he had a couple of other people, but the rest he did do. But from Marl standards, I was a little disappointed because I know he could have came with better beats. But it's cool to have. Again, not the easiest thing to find, but I'm glad I got my hands on it. But Marl with the Re-Entry album, released in 2001. All right. And next up, from LaGuardia Airport, we're going to go to Newark. I got to say right. Can't we say Newark? It's Newark. We're going to go to Newark, New Jersey. We're going to go to Newark International Airport. And then we're going to go with my brothers, Lords of the Underground, with their third album, Resurrection, released in 1999. Very, very, very dope album. Very underrated. Usually with certain 90s groups, when they first come out, like in the early 90s or the mid 90s rather, their first album, the second album definitely goes hard. And then like usually like by their third album, like towards the end of the late 90s or like early 2000s. They put out an album, and it's just not as good. That's not the case with this album, because when you look at it, you would think, I don't know about that. But then when you actually listen to the album actually goes hard, man. I really enjoy this shit right here. Known for the singles, Take That and Blow Your Mind. Those are the two singles of the album. There is a video for Blow Your Mind. Kind of has like the his their take of like kind of has like a commercial appeal to it. But standout tracks for me, I'm about to go with Retaliate, Take That, Earth, Wind and Fire, One Day, Hennessy Part 1, Haters, Hennessy Part 2, Excuse Me, and Exodus. Those are like the standout tracks for me. Very, very fucking dope album right here. Very underrated. I got this for like $7. It usually goes for like very cheap. I do already have their first two albums. I have the Here Comes the Lords, who I think is their best album. And you get the Keepers of the Funk album from '94, which is a very slept on album. And that album tends to be like very expensive. Tends to be like the most expensive one. This album was basically independent. It was released independently. It was released under Jersey Kid Records, which is their record label. I don't think they have that record label anymore. I'm not sure. I could be wrong. But yeah, Lords of the Underground with Resurrection, released in 1999. Dope shit. And Lord Jazz does the majority of the beats, so you're getting that SP 1200 type production. So I was kind of surprised with the production. So, but yeah, very dope stuff right here. All right. Next up, from Newark, New Jersey, or Brick City, we're going to the city of Compton. Compton in the house. We're going to go to 1991. We're going to go with High C with Skanless, featuring Tony A the Wizard, man. Shout out to Tony A, man. Yeah, High C, they were part of the whole Skanless crew, which was DJ Quick, High C, Tony A, Second to None, AMG, DJ Quick, and I believe that was it. But that was DJ Quick's. Excuse me. That was DJ Quick's version of like NWA. Like the collective and stuff like that. Like I said, this came out in 1991. They were, like I said, under the whole Skanless crew with DJ Quick. Dope stuff right here. The singles off this album is I'm Not Your Puppet, Sitting in the Park, and Leave My Curl Alone. Those are the three singles of the album, which they all have videos for. Standout tracks for me, I'm about to go with Leave My Curl Alone, Punk Shit, Funky Rap Singer, which uses the same samples of the Players Anthem by Junior Mafia. That shit goes hard. Sitting in the Park, Jack Move goes hard. Bullshit, 2 at a Time, Yo Dick, Froggy Style, Too Drunk to Fuck, and Too Skanless. Those are like the standout tracks right here. Very dope album. Production wise, they kind of remind me of, and his whole style remind me of DJ Quick, especially like Quick is the Name era, like that early 90s DJ Quick. Like I said, Quick is the Name. If you like that album production wise, I definitely think you guys would enjoy this album right here. This album usually goes for like a lot of money. Usually goes for like $30 and above. I think like close to $30. I got it for like $27. Little steep, but I'm glad I got my hands on this. And this is the OG pressing. This is not the reissue. That kind of thing. So glad I got my hands on that. Also, I have the Swingin' album, which is another dope album. But yeah, Tony A and DJ Quick does a good amount of the production, which is pretty cool. So like I said, production wise, reminiscent of Quick is the Name. If you like that album, then you'll definitely enjoy this album. The subject matter is pretty much almost similar to DJ Quick's. His is like more on like him like chasing girls and the sex raps and that kind of thing. So basically that's what it is. But it's like a fun album to listen to. But yeah, High C with Skanless, released in 1991. 91 was a dope year for hip hop. Alright, so we got 3 more. Alright. Next up, from Compton, we're gonna go back to LaGuardia Airport. We're gonna go to Queensbridge. Man, this was highly anticipated. Came out last year. I think you guys get an idea what I'm talking about. We're gonna go Mobb Deep's latest and final album, the Infinite album, released in 2025. This was basically like a farewell album for Mobb Deep. Fucking love this album. And shout out to my brother Mike Sears because we was talking and we all agreed to to say the infamous Hell on Earth and Murder Music are top 3 Mobb Deep albums. I think we can all agree to that. And not for nothing, but he also said that he added this as their 4th favorite album. I might have to be in agreement with him because this is that good. This is that good of an album. I fucking love this album. Definitely album of 2025, album of the year of 2025 in my personal opinion. I normally don't do album of the year. I don't really do that, you know what I'm saying, because there's just too much good music. It's in between because it's either good or it's like really bad. It's not the case with this album. Obviously, the vocals from Prodigy, there's an old verses that he had laying in the studio.